Hi, I'm Rick Dior, and that little solo was built upon some of the ideas we talked about in the second part of this series, which was the triplet applications on the drum set. But here you saw me adding my bass drum and my hi-hat into the mix. As well as playing an ostinato with my left foot and my bass drum, I was also playing some diddles with my bass drum and making the bass drum part of those triplet fills. So that's what we're going to talk about today in this third part of this series. Now that ostinato you heard came from page 38 of my book, and it was number 21, so it sounds like this. So that's a 2-against-3 polyrhythm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's very common in Afro-Cuban grooves, 6/8 funk, things like this. So those kinds of funk rhythms, Afro-Cuban rhythms in a funk style, are built on that 2-against-3 rhythm. Obviously, of course, playing jazz, use lots of that. So you can play upbeat triplets, all kinds of things like that. But today we're going to talk about playing this kind of stuff in more of a funk, rock style. So I love these ostinatos because you can get it going and keep sort of a pulse happening and solo over it. And if you play it with a metronome and you play it enough, it actually becomes ingrained in your head. So you can literally play anything over that. Towards the end of that solo you heard, I started playing a little bit out of time up top while my feet kept the ostinato going. And that's a really fun thing to do. Let me show you a little of that. So you can work your way around the time and then come back. As long as that hi-hat is going, the rest of the band, if they're paying attention, has something to grab onto. Now, I wouldn't recommend playing this, on your wedding gig or something. But if you're doing a jazz gig or a jazz fusion thing and you have a solo, you can definitely try some of this stuff as long as you have something going that's relatable. Otherwise, it just seems like you're just playing completely out of time. So these are things I like to use for solo vehicles. All right, so some of these other ostinatos are really interesting. If you take page 38 once again and you do the Samba rhythm like this, but you do it in triplets and the hi-hat fills in, and that's number 23. And the hi-hat pattern there is something like this. So you're playing kind of a triplet rhythm with your feet. So it's just like the Samba, but now it's in triplets. And there's lots and lots of ways to work on it. One of my favorites is to take some of the old Pratt solos or Wilcoxon solos and play the ones that are in 6/8 over this. So a good one, and there's only 2 in this book, No Left Flam is a good one, as well as Guidepost. So if you get that going, That's most of the first page. So it's kind of an illusion it creates, which is really cool. Part of the kit sounds like it's almost a different meter. I love that stuff. So that's the kind of thing that you can work on. Now you can also do it with that other ostinato, the 2 against 3, which is this. That's the first 3 lines of no left flam. So these things are tremendous for developing coordination. And you don't have to play marches, you can play grooves, really anything over them. So that's the first way I like to apply the ostinato patterns. The other way, obviously, are grooves. And if you go to the Afro-Cuban section of my book, then you will see lots and lots of grooves that deal with this. So if you go to page 56 in my book, I'll put it on the screen here, and the Nanigo rhythm, the first one, you see this ostinato with the hi-hat and the bass drum. And you could play some grooves under that, like this one written is, again, a Nanigo. If I do the same thing for number 2, it sounds like this. And so forth. But you can also switch them out. So you can do this next one, like I said, that almost Samba triplet one under all these 2. And they work for the bembe too as well. So all of these ostinatos work great under grooves. You can even play them under shuffles. Okay, or any kind of shuffle triplet rhythm works. They're all interchangeable. So I would suggest you practice these things, starting out with just basic rudiments. So if you get that Samba triplet thing going, those are paradiddles, and you can play the paradiddles in triplets like I did there, or just double time it, like 9s, as I also did there. Okay, you can play double paradiddles. Really anything, that works in a triplet feel. 12/8, 3/8, 6/8, 9/8 will work over these. And then you could do some rudimental etudes. And then finally, once again, go to pages, the rhythmic pages in my book, or any book really, that we interpreted in the first 2 videos, and work on those on the toms. So that's page 7, the first line, and you fill in, you just get creative with it. So it's a long-term process of building up that kind of vocabulary. But again, it's great for your coordination, great for your relaxation. It really centers you on the kit. Any kind of ostinato exercise is just terrific for building coordination, strength, and obviously timing. Now, the next way I like to do these is basically the hand-foot concept. So we're actually filling in with the bass drum. So if we go in my book once again to pages 124 and 5, you'll see some triplets there, triplet rhythms. I like to practice these with the snares off and obviously with a metronome. 140 is a good tempo to do these at once you're comfortable. And again, just play the hi-hat, you know, with an ostinato, something like this. Really anything. And then play what's written literally. But the first way to do it is unison. So. So you're playing the hands together around the drums and you're filling in as written with the bass drum. The next way, which is more difficult, is to alternate your hands. That's much harder, more coordination. We'll try that. The first 3 lines of that. Much, much more difficult. So you just do that, you practice it slowly, you build up those kinds of, you know, techniques and coordination. Of course, we have the next one right under it, which now we're using 2 bass drum notes. So there you have that. I did a little bit of unisons, but mostly alternating. And then you can go on to the big page, page 125, and then 126, which are the broken ones. So these are all really valid ways to practice these things, to play, you know, between the hands and the feet. So there's one more way to use these rhythms, and it's important, and that's for setting up figures, for catching figures. So if you're playing in a big band or any kind of fusion band, something like that, that uses, you know, triplet rhythms, you can fill in triplets to catch these figures. And the way I'm doing this is I'm using page 7 for now, and I'm going to play the bass drum and the cymbals together in unison, and I'm going to fill in my hands, if you remember, with a combination of singles and doubles like we worked on in video number 2. So let me give you a little sample of that, not too fast. Here's the first line of page 7. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there you saw me catching with both left and right. So that's one way to do it. The other way, which is trickier, is to try to catch everything with your right hand. All right, so that's going to take some, you know, sort of intuitive filling in. It should be intuitive by now. And you're going to use, again, doubles and singles, and we'll show you that from page 7. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there I am just using this heavy ride cymbal with the shaft of my stick like a crash, and I'm catching all of those figures with my right hand. And again, to do that, you have to use a combination of doubles and singles. Of course, one way to do this is just with singles and catching both cymbals, and I'll show you how to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can do some interesting things like that. But more of the big band kind of drumming, the figures are caught with, you know, maybe the right hand when you're playing quickly. So we'll show you some of that. I'll take the triplet off. And we'll put the metronome on 2 and 4 here. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So that's page 7, lines 1, 2, and 3, with 8 bars of time in between. Again, interpreting those rhythms as triplets, but just filling in with my left hand. So it's a discipline. You're forcing yourself to do things by saying, okay, now I'm just going to play all the accents with my right hand, with the bass drum and the ride cymbal. So these are the kinds of exercises that are great. And if you learn how to do this, there'll never be a figure you can't catch, and you'll be able to play really relaxed and confident. So I really hope you enjoyed this series. I know I did. It's great to get all these ideas out, things I've been working on for years and years, but never really organized them. And these triplet rhythms are an integral part of playing any kind of music, from jazz to funk, you know, any kind of shuffle, any kind of soloing, rock, really, all genres. Latin, of course. So please, you know, work on these and let me know if you have any questions as you do, and keep the emails coming, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.